A real star and a legend here in Montreal. Michael Banks, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well because everybody tells me you're a genius, you're a star, you're a personality. You are Mr. Montreal. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. I was making a little talk yesterday. I was telling people that there's going to be probably a big change in United States with their election. But I said it first happened in Old Montreal, and so they says, "Well, what do you mean?" I says, "Well, we had elections in Old Montreal for the Business Association." I said, and I was voted president of this 3,000 member association. So I said, maybe the Americans will take an example of how we voted in the United States, how we voted in Old Montreal.
And is it fun being you? Because they tell me you're here, there and everywhere. You're part of everything. You're the backbone of the community. Why do you love this town so much?
Well, I think there's something special about Montreal, and especially Old Montreal, and the fact that we're situated in North America. We have a special history that's European, but at the same time, we're located in North America. So we have the best of both worlds.
What would be the one thing that you would say, you got to come to Montreal for this?
I would say for the quality of life and the creativity and the dynamics of Montreal, where there's so much creativity here. I was talking to two young gentlemen who have left Paris and opened up a restaurant in Old Montreal, and I said, I'm sure the reason why you came here was the fact that there's much more opportunity, and at the same time we give people a chance to be able to hopefully realize their dreams.
And where do you think the creativity and the culture came from? It seems like you are more obsessed with the arts more than any other city I've ever been to, including New York and London.
I think the fact that there is Montreal being the second largest French-speaking city after Paris, it's a cultural thing, there's a creative thing, and at the same time, because of the fact that we have long winters, I think that gives us enough time to sort of just think about doing something interesting.
And you really do have to find something to do with your time, or you literally would have to hibernate for about 6 months, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes, exactly. So basically what we're always doing is, and we have very short summers, so therefore we pack in a lot of different cultural activities. Even in Old Montreal, we have fireworks going on, we have theater going on, we have classical music concerts going on, and then we have the Cirque du Soleil and the Cirque du Oise. So there's always different activities going on, and we have a special group. It's called the Creative Group, and we're always saying, okay, what creative things can we do next?
We're sat here in your restaurant in Old Montreal. Wherever you go, you're known. So how did you become the man you are today?
Well, it's very interesting. It was I was 14 years old, and I was living in Ontario, and so we were sitting around a table one time, and as young boys and girls will do, and we were all discussing about what we were going to be doing next. And I said, well, one day I'm either going to live in Montreal, Paris, and New York. And I saw a friend of mine last year, I haven't seen him in a long time, and he said, I have to ask you a question. I says, what, you want to know how I'm doing like that? He says, no, not that. He said, I want to know, at 14, how did you know that you're either going to be in Montreal, New York, or Paris? And I said, I just knew that I had to be somewhere where it was interesting, it was creative, there was all types of dynamics going on. And I says, this is a place where I want to be because I want to be able to be partake of that.
And how did you know that Montreal was in the same category as either Paris or New York? Because you wouldn't necessarily put the three together.
Well, my parents used to travel a lot, so they used to bring us to Montreal to visit, and they used to bring us to New York, and they also brought us to Paris. And so I had the chance as a young person to experience each city, and so I definitely knew that one of these cities I was going to be in, that was for sure.
Are you then a theatre lover? Are you a showbiz type? What exactly are you? Because you're very interested in the arts as well as business, aren't you?
Yes, I am very much so, and I actually do something where I have a Penthouse in Old Montreal, and I actually support young artists who never have a chance maybe to get accepted into an art gallery, and so I put on private art shows, and usually how it happens, I would choose an artist who's never shown before to show in the Penthouse, then I will have somebody who has never sung before and would like to sing, and we get a musical group together. I have them sing for entertainment, I have the artist show his art, and I always have somebody who's opening up a new restaurant to cater the evening.
So you're about finding young talent and developing it and giving it a window for opportunity.
Yes, exactly, because I think that's very important, because a lot of times what happens is there are certain doors that can be shut to people if they haven't been established, something like that. So I always say, well, I'd like to be the first person to be able to say, you see that artist that's well known now? Well, guess what? They started from me. They got their first start.
It's interesting you mentioned the American election earlier. I think one of the reasons that Barack got in so massively and so easily is because he is about the future and he is about a new start. I think we're a bit fed up with the negativity that's going on around the world, especially in business and finance.
I have to agree. I think what is happening is because people are always looking for something positive. People are looking for something creative. They're always looking for something where they can feel a part of. And I think that's very, very important. And so therefore, what has happened is in Montreal, and especially in Old Montreal, we're always trying to bring people together because we have so much in common. I remember recently someone said to me, "Could I ask you something?" They were traveling to Montreal. They were from the United States. And I said, "What?" They says, "Why are people so friendly?" I was like surprised by the question, so I thought about it. I said, well, we don't wake up in the morning saying, well, guess what, I'm going to be nice today. I said, I think that's just part of our nature. That's part of our personality. Just as how we are. We just look forward to enjoying another day.
One of the things that's really struck me about Montreal is the lack of Starbucks and McDonald's and Burger Kings. And you might say, well, what's that got to do with it? I'd say what it's got to do with it. They're not interested in fast food. They're interested in good food. It's a totally different way of thinking.
Well, I've always said that the difference between Montreal and some other cities, we're business-minded, but we're not overly business-minded. So therefore, you'll see us having 2 to 3 hour lunches because part of the aspect is when you're eating with someone, you're sharing information. So therefore, a lot of our business is done over lunchtime or dinner and also having a glass or two of wine. So everything is all put in together, but eating well, enjoying the moment, enjoying the restaurant that you're in or the terrace that you're sitting out on, and actually sharing ideas on what you want to do and what something you want to establish. And so I think that's something special where we haven't lost the art of actually having a good quality of life.
And one of the things as well that seems to be apparent here in Montreal is acceptance. Nobody sticks out. If you want red hair, have red hair. If you want pink hair, have pink hair. If you want to wear 3 hats, wear 3 hats. It's not a city that judges, and I think that comes from the culture and the arts that anything goes.
I think it's very interesting because of the fact that, first of all, Quebec, it's French speaking, and so basically we're surrounded by the rest of Canada and then the United States, which has a cultural dominance as far as the world goes, and so that forces us to, I think, to be more of ourselves. And so therefore what happens is we see this around us and we sort of look at saying, well, we don't have to be like that. We have something to show, we have something to do, we have something to express, and so therefore we do it our own way. And therefore what happens is I think that's why it brings in a lot of people from different places, and I think that's why people come to visit Montreal, because of that uniqueness.
What is the first thing you'd put on your agenda if you were booking a holiday here?
There's a nice urban grit to the city and to Old Montreal, and you can feel that energy. So I would say definitely coming into Old Montreal and just walk around, and at the same time going into the art galleries and going into different areas and seeing what's happening, and I don't think you'd ever want to leave afterwards. In fact, one of the things I'm actually doing a lot of times is when people come to visit, or they even like other parts of Montreal, I end up convincing them to actually move into Montreal. So I'm sort of responsible for the population of Montreal actually growing.
You're probably connected enough to get me a job on the radio so I don't have to leave.
Oh, well, I'll tell you exactly. If you want to stay here, you're more than welcome, and I'm sure we'll find something for you to do. No problem.
And you mentioned the buildings. What is interesting is there are new buildings going up here, but they have to have something in the new building that kind of symbolizes that and echoes the old building. It's very clever, that.
We're very, very conscious of the architecture that we have. So therefore, well, I was telling a gentleman the other day, because he wanted to do some investments in Old Montreal, and he was looking at a project that was going to cost $100 million. Now he says, now listen, he said, I have to ask you, what do you think about the idea of that? He said, I'd like to, like, you know, the building's only 8 stories. He said, do you think maybe I could, like, move it up to, like, another 3 more? And I said, well, why would you want to do that? And he says, well, what do you mean? He says, you know, I've got to make this, you know, so it's going to be profitable. I says, well, I'm sure we could find a way of just keeping the 8 stories and working around the project so that therefore it can be feasible. I said, because you know what? I said, because don't forget, you know, we're going to have to live with that, with the way that building's going to look once you're no longer with the project, or maybe one day you go somewhere else. So we're very, very conscious. And so when we bring people in, we that's one of the aspects that we will definitely discuss about, is the fact that we want you to be a corporate citizen, but a respectful corporate citizen of the architecture.
And again, with the buildings, no building in Montreal is allowed to be higher than the mountain. That has to be seen at all points.
Exactly, because the idea was that no matter where you are in the downtown area in Montreal, that you, or even in Montreal, you would be able to walk and see at least something about Mount Royal,
And one thing that I love about the city is the food. It is exceptional. That's down to the French, isn't it?
Exactly. Well, I can tell you, I always tell people that when you come to Montreal, you don't even have to go to make a trip around the world. You can just eat in every different type of restaurant here, and it's like you've just been to every country.
Well, congratulations to you. Thank you so much for spending the time to talk to me, because I know you are one of the most important men here in Montreal. Everybody's been excited that I'm talking to you, so it's been a real thrill. Michael Banks, thank you for talking to me.
It's been my pleasure, and I hope you'll stay and enjoy Old Montreal with us.